I'm Elia Haber for the Beirut Banyan. It's Sunday and I'm sitting in Martyrs Square. I go into the Azariya building courtyard where it's a bit more quiet on a bench to interview Joelle. If you could please provide me with your name, age and profession.
I'm Joelle Assaf. I'm 24 and I work in advocacy in the Bekaa Valley.
Okay, Joelle, what brings you here today?
I think that it's pretty self-explanatory, my love for the country and the rights we're all asking for that we should had for years that we don't have yet, and the fact that we need our government to take responsibility for the years of corruption, for the years of misery that we've been through. And it's time for us to demand this right and to demand them to step down and to ask for a group of people, independent or not, to actually work the way they should be working in a government.
What do you want exactly from the new cabinet that's going to be formed?
At this point, I think that I need a cabinet that at least can work together, people that can actually work together for the country or not for their political parties or for the people that necessarily voted directly for them. I might not have voted for a specific deputy that became a minister or that asked for someone to become a minister, but at this point, they should be working for the country and not for their political parties and for the members of their political parties. So at this point, what I meant by independent or not is whoever is going to be assigned, I want to be able to monitor what they're actually doing, to evaluate their work as a citizen. Based on that, decide whether I want to vote for them again or not.
So I'm guessing monitoring as citizens, the way we understand it in this current system, should be done by the parliament, our representatives, to monitor the action of the government. Would early elections be something that you're asking for, or it's not really a priority for now?
I definitely think that early elections are important and it's something that I am asking for. Something else I'm asking for today is, for example, Hariri decided to remove the Ministry of Information. Part of the suggestion that he gave, this is something really bad because the Ministry of Information is supposed to give us everything, all the information that is supposed to circulate inside the parliament. We should be able to get all information that all things that they actually discuss, we should be able to get. I can't necessarily go to parliament every time they have a jalsa. Technically, it's my right to do it, but not all citizens can just take a day off or leave their jobs to do that, and they're not even letting us do it in the first place. So I think that the Ministry of Information should definitely not be removed and should do the job of an actual Ministry of Information.
Having said that, I would want to know your opinion on the slogan that is being put forth, and that is Kullun yani Kullun. What does that mean to you?
It means that none of them is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're all putting the false on other people. Every person inside the government is saying, we're trying, but they're not letting us. And another party is saying exactly the same thing. So clearly, you guys are not being able to work together. So just step down at this point. It's not a matter of a specific political party. At this point, no one is able to work. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're not being able to work together. That could be it. I have no idea. At this point, I don't care. I just want to give the chance to other people who might be able to work together. Ideally, I wouldn't want to have political parties inside the new government. But then I think that this is very utopic at this point. So as long as I have actual ministers who are actually doing their jobs and who knows what they're actually doing and who are experts in the field, then be it, let them try, and based on their performance, we will judge as a citizen, because this is our right and our duty to do it.
Okay, so Joelle, since you're also talking about monitoring the actions, how about media? How do you describe your news consumption? Where do you read your news, whether it's social media or through traditional mainstream news? Can you describe that for me?
I think that the Lebanese media, the local media, is not doing the job that they should be doing. I do understand that we have a lot of constraints, in terms of censorship, in terms of being able to access specific information. But at the same time, the fact that most of the media outlets are politicized and are owned by political parties, we cannot have the actual information that is being circulated. So everything is biased, basically, in Lebanon. The media is one of the most biased and corrupted parties, because at the end of the day, if the government is biased and corrupted and they own the media, then there's not much we can do.
So how do you counter that from your side? When you receive news, whether through apps, through WhatsApp, on social media, how do you know if this is fake news or actual news?
I try as much as I can to cross-check the information that we receive. There's a lot of WhatsApp groups that were created. It's been a couple of years since municipal elections, where a lot of people work together to actually do specific events like discussions. So I think that it's just common sense most of the time, and cross-checking even with people from different political parties, whenever there's a news about something that the Lebanese forces said, for example. I mean, we all know people from Lebanese forces, from the Hezbollah, from Harakat Amal. Lebanon is a small country, so asking directly to someone who's part of the political group or who's close to them to try to cross-check the information.
So you mentioned that you are part of some WhatsApp groups that were formed years ago, part of the municipal action for the elections back then. So it seems that you have been politically active for a while. Is there anything by your experience now that makes this revolt different from the ones before?
This revolution or this intifada is not something that's organized. People basically decided to go down in the street. It started as a very chaotic thing, and actually it started with mostly people from Hezbollah and Harakat Amal. People just started going because we all agree on the fact that the situation in which we live is horrible. I have a roof under which I can sleep every day. I have a salary. I have parents who can support me, but at the same time, it doesn't excuse the fact that at the end of the day, at the end of the month, we pay 2 bills for the electricity we shouldn't be doing. We buy water, which we shouldn't be doing. We live in a polluted country. We can't have access to the sea in Beirut because it's disgusting. There's a lot of things we're actually lacking. I don't know if tomorrow morning I will lose my job because of the whole economical crisis. And if I do lose my job, then I have no idea how I'm going to be able to sustain myself. So yes, some people are more lucky than others, but it doesn't remove the fact that people are just fed up. We've been living in this mess and this chaos and this corruption for years since the civil war. And this clearly is not going to stop if we don't stop the country from functioning, actually, and showing them all the political groups and all the politicians, be it deputies, ministers, ex-ministers, ex-deputies, that no. This time it's not going to happen the same way, and we are in control because it's our right as citizens to take control back and to actually make ourselves be listened.
Since you're hoping that this will be a moment for everyone to take notice, if you're looking back at this moment a year from now, what do you want people to remember from this day in our history?
That there's no difference between me and the person that is sitting right next to me right now. That you're not asking about where I come from, that you're not asking about my religion, that you're not asking about my political parties, because yes, this is not only civil society, but people from political groups are here with us. That for once the street was not for some people, but for everyone, and everyone was welcome. No one asked for anything, and we didn't go down in the street because of someone. This is not about Hariri, this is not about Nabih Berri, this is about everyone. And that's why Kullun is extremely important today. What I would like people to remember the most as well is that people today decided to leave their political parties because they realized that no, even if that political party is offering me a job, because I'm a member or because I'm close to them or because I vote for them, the job isn't going to do it this time, and the money that they give me before election isn't going to do it, and the casquette and the Aninat Mai and all of that is just not going to work because we're fed up. It's khalas, enough is enough. And I think that people are realizing that slowly. And I think this is just one of the most beautiful things I've seen in Lebanon ever since I was a kid. So yeah.
As I was finishing up my interview with Joelle, Mohamad approaches me. We don't know each other, but he was overhearing the conversation. And he tells me he has his own story that he'd like to share. So let's kick things off formally. If you could please give me your name, age, and profession.
All right. My name is Mohamad Hashim. I'm 28 years old and I'm a UI UX designer.
Okay, so Mohamad, why are you here today?
Well, I'm here, first of all, to ask for my right not to have to leave this country again, to find work and to have a livelihood. But at the same time, I'm also here because we are not getting our rights. We don't have our rights in this country. I mean, when you grow old, you're basically left for luck, or you have to go and beg someone to actually give you something. For example, I was also an architect before. And as an architect, just seeing the corruption in the municipalities in this country, it's ridiculous. The way this country is working right now, I can't even say that. This country is not working. This country doesn't work. So this country does need to change from the beginning. And it's bad enough this country is ruled by the same people who gave themselves an amnesty law in 91 to absolve themselves of the crimes from the Civil War. So there's a lot of questions to be asking. Is why are these people still up there?
As you mentioned, this has been going on for a while. What made you come down now?
Well, I've always come down whenever there's a protest that's not politically inclined in terms of political parties. I didn't actually know about the protests happening until late at night when it first started. But when I did see people come down with that much passion, I was like, no, this is my national duty. This is my civic duty to calm down and make my voice heard. Because right now my voice is not being heard.
Since we're talking about voices being heard, it seems that with the cabinet resignation, that someone did pay attention and did their first step. What do you think about that so far?
I think they're trying to reinstate him, so I don't really think he's doing his job now, is he? I think it just seems like a game to sidestep what's happening.
So if you do not trust that this was a good first step, what would you like to see next?
Well, what I would like to see is probably unrealistic considering the people ruling the country, for one. But what I would like to see next is an early election going on. But before that, a new electoral law drafted. I want to say treating Lebanon as a single district with voting not based on your sect. But maybe that's not realistic for this country and what the politicians want. But that would be ideal. That way everyone gets to be represented. When I went for the elections last time, I vote in the south, Qada al-Zahrani. So what happened there is when I voted, I got called within 15 minutes telling me, why did you vote for these people and not, in my case, why didn't you vote for Hezbollah or Amal? Within 10 minutes. And that's ridiculous. How do you know I voted for who?
Not even at the end of the day?
Not at the end of the day. Within 10 minutes, I got called asking me, why did you vote for these people?
Okay, so having said that, you'd like for a new law to be drafted. Do you think that new law would solve this problem that you faced?
We need to restructure the voting system in this country because there's plenty of videos out there showing the exact kind of violations of law going on of counting the votes.
Staying in the spirit of keeping people in check and the violations, I would like to ask you about your news consumption. How do you consume news, especially with what's going on now, whether it's mainstream, traditional media versus social media, WhatsApp?
Right. I like to have a mix of them. I mean, problem with Lebanon is everything is highly politicized. I mean, even the channels are seemingly supporting the protests. I'll call out Al Jadid here. They still have their own agenda, so you do have to read multiple sources and make up your mind from the information you're getting. I mean, I want to say social media, but at the same time, social media is filled with lots of distractions or fake news. What was it? The other day, they were out saying the army wants to black out the internet. You have to go through the research process in this country because you can't really trust anyone.
Moving on to the last question, and that is about the future. Let's say you're looking back at this a year from now. What do you think people will remember about this moment in our history, or what do you want them to remember?
Well, I want them to remember that starting 17 October, the Lebanese finally stood together as one people. I believe this is the first moment in our history where we created an actual Lebanese identity. I mean, before we could say, okay, Lebanon was created, Sykes-Picot and all that, but now we've actually claimed our identity. We claimed our place in history and our place as an ethnicity, as a culture.
Elia Haber, signing off from Martyrs Square for the Beirut Banyan.